Hello, this video tutorial is the second part of the WEAP in 1 hour session, where we are seeing how to create a model from scratch. We already created the area, included GIS data into the model, added the elements, and saw how to move labels. In this session, which is the second part, we will see how to enter information into the elements and the type of data we can use. We will be using some template files that you can use to enter data into other models. Also, we will set the general parameters. We will set the time horizon and the time step of the model. This exercise is similar to the one in the WEAP in 1 hour chapter of the WEAP tutorial. We are going to continue with the exercise. One way to enter information into a WEAP element is right-clicking on the element you want to enter information to and select Edit Data. A list of variables for that element will be displayed. In this case, we right-clicked on a river element. Remember that we have the multi-annual monthly average flow of the main river. We will use this information as the head flow information. Once you select head flow, WEAP changes from the schematic view to the data view. Each view is used depending on what you want to do in the model. For example, in the schematic view, you add WEAP elements and GIS data. In the data view, you enter the element information. In the results view, you explore the results. In the data view, on the top left, a hierarchical tree is used to create and organize data structures under 6 major categories: key assumptions, demand sides, hydrology, supply and resources, and other assumptions. The tree is also used to select the data to be edited, shown on the right of the screen. For example, the rivers are always shown on the Supply and Resources category. Click on the plus symbol to expand the category and see the branches. In this case, there is only one river called the main river. After clicking on the element on the left of the screen, the data will be displayed on the right of the screen. Note that when you click on a tree branch, the associated object in the schematic will flash on the map. You can explore the entire tree to understand the structure in a better way. You cannot create elements in the data view. The elements are added in the schematic view, and you enter the information for each element in the data view. In summary, there are two ways to enter data into an element. We are going to enter data to the main river. The first one, in the schematic view, right-click on the main river, select Edit Data and the variable of interest, in this case, head flow. And the second one, in the data view, you can directly select the element and variable of interest. For example, going to Supply and Resources, River, Main River. Then we will select the variable on the right, head flow. Before entering the data, we are going to set the modeling period and the model time step. This is done by defining the general parameters. Go to General on the top and select Years and Time Steps. The time horizon is between 2000 and 2005 at a monthly time step. In other words, a year is divided into 12. In WEAP, the time step can be daily to annual. If the year is divided into 365, the time step will be daily. If the year is divided into 1, the time step will be annual. Other values between that interval are possible. For example, if a quarterly time step were desired, the year will be divided into 4. You can also select whether to include leap days or not. This will add an extra day to February when it is a leap year. WEAP divides the model time step according to the days of each month by default, based on calendar month. For example, January will have 31 days, February 28 days, and so on in a monthly time step. We can also select that the number of days in each time step per year be the same. All time steps are equal length, or set a user-defined length. Set time step length manually. We're going to use based on calendar month. You can define the start month of the work year. We will leave January. Once the parameters are set, then click on Close. This sets the modeling period and the model time step. It is important to note that when the modeling period is set, WEAP divides the period in two by default. If we go to the Data For option on the top, we see that there are two periods. The first one is called Current Accounts, and the other one is called Reference. The first year of the modeling period is Current Accounts. As the modeling period in this exercise is from 2000 to 2005, the Current Accounts year is 2000. Reference will be the rest of the modeling period, in this case 2001 to 2005. All the data are entered in Current Accounts. Current Accounts is the base year. It is possible to create scenarios based on this year. The creation of scenarios and their management is discussed in the O6 Scenarios video tutorial. Reference is the reference scenario. It depends on current accounts by default. Defining the scenario inheritance is important. Unless a different expression is specified for a variable, the reference period inherits the same expressions as those entered in current accounts. Reference depends on current accounts. Reference will inherit all data from current accounts. If no expression is changed in reference and the data are only entered in current accounts, reference will represent the evolution of the system in the modeling period without any intervention. This is the basis for building scenarios in WEAP. Scenarios are used to simulate system evolutions. Current accounts is the year 2000, so here appears 2000. If we change the modeling period, general, years, and time steps, current accounts year 1990, you see that it will change to 1990, and reference will be 1991 to 2005. Go to general, years, and time steps to set the current accounts year back to 2000. There are several options for entering data into a variable. Click on the down arrow on the right of the expression box to drop down the choices list. These options change depending on the variable and the time step of the model. For a monthly time step and this variable, the options are Expression Builder. We will see it in the O5 WEAP Basic Tools video tutorial. Monthly Time Series Wizard, Year Time Series Wizard, Read From File Wizard, and Lookup Function Wizard. In this video tutorial, we will see the options Monthly Time Series Wizard, Yearly Time Series Wizard, and Read From File Wizard. The Monthly Time Series Wizard option is used to enter data with a monthly variation. The data are entered on the left and previewed on the right. If you leave some months blank, WEAP will interpolate using adjacent points. The Yearly Time Series Wizard option helps build data with an annual variation following these interpolation functions. The three functions on the top allow you to specify data points for future years. The function then calculates the values for intervening years. The last three functions allow you to specify historical data values. The functions are used to extrapolate data forward to calculate future values. The Read from File Wizard option helps you explore, preprocess, visualize, and import time series data from the limited text files. We are going to see these three options. The monthly time series wizard option is used when the data has a monthly variation. You must enter the value of each month. For example, if we enter this data, the monthly variation will be represented in this way. The graph is on the right. Remember that in WEAP, the reference scenario inherits information from current accounts. The data for the entire modeling period is shown in the graph. We will have the same information every year. It is possible to use expressions with functions to enter information in WEAP. When the data follow a monthly variation, the function is monthly values. You must indicate in parentheses the abbreviation for each month and its value separated by commas. We are going to use some template files for this exercise. The files are available in the O4 WEAP in 1 hour folder. Open the Excel file called monthly values. We can generate the expression to enter data with a monthly variation in WEAP using this file. The monthly value is changed and the expression is generated. We can copy and paste this expression directly into WEAP. Fill the monthly values considering the multi-annual monthly average flow of the main river. 12, 7, 11, 17, 80, 136, 45, 32, 38, 18, 9, and 7. Copy the expression and paste it into the headflow variable for the main river. The information entered is displayed graphically or in the table at the bottom. This is the monthly variation for the year 2000, which is the current accounts year. If we check reference, this scenario inherits the information from current accounts. This data could have been entered using the monthly time series wizard option and entering value by value. WEAP will automatically generate the same expressions that we copied from the Excel file. The other option is yearly time series wizard. The different interpolation options are displayed in a window to select the one you want to use. Data can be entered one by one or imported from the Excel file. For example, if the same data were used, this will be the graph for each option. The blue line represents the time series that will be assigned to the variable. The data follow an annual variation. For example, if we use the multi-annual monthly average flow values and select linear interpolation, this will be the graph. It is similar to the previous one, but it has an annual variation, not monthly. The health flow will be constant over the year, but it will vary year by year. This is not what we want. Finally, we are going to see the Read from File Wizard option. It is possible to use time series data. We could use different resolutions, such as daily, monthly, quarterly, or annual data. It would be ideal if the time series has the same resolution as the model time step. Although WEAP has aggregation or disaggregation options when the resolution is different from the model time step. For example, in this model, in which the time step is monthly, we will see how to use a monthly and a daily time series. These are template files for entering time series in WEAP. Select Data for current accounts. If we select Read from File Wizard and go to the folder All for WEAP in 1 hour, you will have these two CSV files, Daily Time Series and Monthly Time Series. We are going to use the Monthly Time Series file first. In this window, we can view the file information and select the column with the time series to be used, and other options to define how WEAP must use the time series. WEAP displays the dates with information, the minimum, maximum, average, the number of data, and the number of missing data. You can view the information graphically in a table or text on the right. In this case, the file has only one column of information, but you can have multiple columns with information. They will be listed here. In this section, we can select the column with the time series to be used. In this case, column 1, which was called stream flow. The data can be viewed in a graph or a table. The graph can be changed to view the data as an annual total, monthly average, or percent of time exceeded. At the top, we see the file path. We can change it by clicking this button. Now, we are going to use the daily file to see how the options will change. This file has a different time step compared with the model time step. Remember that the time step of this model is monthly. Because the file resolution is higher than the model time step, we need to define the aggregation method. The method depends on the variable. In this case, as the data corresponds to a stream flow, we can choose average. We have several aggregation methods, such as sum, maximum, or minimum. For example, if this data were precipitation, we will need to select sum as the aggregation method. Once we set up all the options to read the file, we press Finish. If we use the Read from File Wizard option, WEAP will generate an expression using the Read from File function. I recommend going to the WEAP help, which explains how to use the Read from File function. We are going to explore the structure of the template files. The daily time series file has this structure. Expressions that begin with a $sign help to define how WEAP should read the file. The first line defines the list separator, in this case, comma. The second one defines the decimal symbol, in this case, point. The third one defines the date format, in this case, day, month, and year. The fourth one defines that from this line down will be the information. This line also serves to identify each column by its name. The data in the file may have a different time length than the modeling period defined in WEAP. WEAP will read from the file the data corresponding to the modeling period. It is possible to set the period to use in WEAP. The monthly time series file has another structure. The expressions for list separator and decimal point are the same, but the way the date is defined differs. The first column must be used for the year and the other column for the month. From the third column onwards, we can add the time series data, in this case, the stream flow data. We have already seen the options we have in WEAP to enter data into the model. If we have data with an annual variation, we should use the yearly time series wizard option. If we have data with a monthly variation, we should use the monthly time series wizard option. If we have time series data, we should use the read from file wizard option. Additionally, expressions can be used to include information directly in WEAP. The template files can be useful for building your models.